Hey makeup friends! I'm going to be doing a project pan in 2022. I'm surprising myself with this, but here we are. Let's get into this. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you're new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. Now, if you've been following me within 2021, you know that I've been doing a year-long project pan with my friend Kelly from K-Bella Beauty, and it has been a bit of a struggle. I have really appreciated doing it with her, not only because she's just an awesome person all around, but also because we've helped to push each other along, keep each other motivated, and keep each other committed. This year, I'm flying solo, so we shall see how we make out with this. In 2021, I did more of a rolling project where there was really no rules. I had, I think, about 10 items at any given point, and as I got bored with them or used things up, I would replace them with other items. This year, the approach I'm taking is trying to finish up some of the older products in my collection, although the foundation that I'm working on is mainly based on the price of it because it is the most expensive foundation that I have and I want to use it before it goes bad. But these are mostly items that have been kicking around in my collection for several years, and it's just time to really focus on them, bore down, and just get them finished. So let's just walk through the items in a get ready with me kind of style so that you can see them in action. I'll show you where we're at for starting progress, and then updates are to follow. So with that out of the way, let's get right into the items. Alright, so the first product that I'm going to be trying to use up completely in 2022 is the Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury. I've had this for quite some time, and so that's one of the reasons I want to use it up, is just it's been kicking around in my collection for ages to the point where like all the lettering has rubbed off completely, but I haven't made that much of a dent in it. So as best as I can determine, this is where we're starting from. So how I intend to use this, because I also have a highlighter in this project that we will get to, I want to use this more as a primer. I don't have a ton of primers in my collection, so this one kind of fills that gap for me. Does add a bit of luminosity to the skin, but it's nothing overpowering, and when I wear it underneath foundation, it just helps to make my skin look just a little bit healthier than it otherwise would without being too over the top. This is also one of those products that I can just use on its own if I just want to have a very light makeup day, where I just want to help to enhance my skin but don't necessarily feel I need any coverage from foundation or a skin tint. Again, this one just adds a nice glow to the skin, but it's not glittery and it's not so over the top that it looks altogether too shiny. So there's a few ways that I can wear this one, and so I think I should be able to get through it within the course of a year. So I do have a foundation that I want to include as well, and it's this one here from Kojen Do. This is the Aqua Foundation. This one hasn't been in my collection for very long. I bought it within 2021, but it's very expensive, and it's arguably the most expensive actual base cost in my collection. My Lisa Eldridge, I think, outranked this one in terms of overall expense with shipping and customs duties, but this one is right up there. So this one I purchased before the Lisa Eldridge, so this one gets my attention first. And I have already made fairly good progress considering how many foundations I have, but I don't want any of this to go to waste, which is why I want to include it in this project. I really like this foundation. I mean, it is very expensive. I think it runs about $90 Canadian per bottle. So it is very pricey, but it's so beautiful. Like it acts more like a skin tint, but it is buildable up to, I'd say, about a medium coverage. But it's just so lightweight that it wears gorgeously throughout the day. There's no heaviness on my skin. It's not particularly gluey. I really hope not. Glowy is what I'm trying to say. And nor is it mattifying. So it just looks like my skin, but enhances my skin. I love the finish of it. I love the feel of it. I love the longevity of it. So I really don't have any doubts that I'm going to be able to finish this bottle within the year. All right, so I've done concealer, bronzer, and brows off camera because none of those items are in this project. So that brings us to blush. Luminoso from Milani. This is one of their baked blushes. I've had this for, I would say, at least 5 years. Like, it's so old that I should probably be charging it rent, but here it is. This is the blush that will never end, except I am gonna own its butt in 2022. I am bound and determined. Now it's just personal. So I run hot and cold with this because I have tried to pan it before and I get very bored of it after a while, but it's beautiful. Like, it is such a beautiful blush. There's a reason why it was all the rage back in the day. It's gorgeous. It has a little bit of a sheen to it without being glittery or altogether too shiny. I usually go for a matte finish, but this one just breathes a little bit of life into it, and I think it's just so pretty. It gives that like sun-kissed kind of look because it has that burnt peach kind of element to it. And so I am determined. I'm gonna finish this blush this year. I don't care what it takes, but I don't think I'm gonna get too tired of it. I mean, I might. I will switch it out every now and then. I can't say that I'm going to use this exclusively and just ignore all the other blushes that I have, but on like a day-to-day basis, it's just so pretty and I feel pretty wearing it. So it's, I guess, a good thing that it lasts so long. But there it is. We are going to see just how long it takes to get to the very bottom of this thing. So time will tell. And then I have a highlighter as well that's been kicking around forever, and this is why I want to include it in this project, simply because, again, it's probably, I'd say, about 4 years old now for me. This is the Stila Heaven's Hue highlighter in Kitten, and that is what she looks like. So you can see I have already made some very good progress on it, but there's still a ton of product in there. So I don't know if finishing this within a year is realistic, but I'm going to make progress in any event, so let's see what we can do with it. Like, it's so beautiful. And this is just like that like putty kind of feel where it's not super powdery, so it doesn't look cakey on the skin. It's not glittery at all, but it sinks into the skin so beautifully and just produces this gorgeous shine. And I don't know why I haven't made more progress on it than I have, because it is just so beautiful. And then to meld all those powders together, I have a finishing powder here from Guerlain. These are their Meteorites in Light. And these I've had for a very long time. I feel like I was pregnant with Bennett, who's turning 5 in April. So I think I've had them for 5 years. It's been a very long time. And there's where we're going to be starting from. And the brush that I normally use with these is the Dior Backstage face brush, I think is what it's called, but it took a bath last night, so it's still a little wet. So I'm just going to go in with a brush here from BK Beauty. This is the 104. Just swirl it around in there. And then it just, again, adds just a little bit of luminosity to the skin without being glittery. But it really just helps to smooth out the edges of where all those other powder products are and just gives this very perfected look to the skin. I'm gonna if you can hear my kids laughing in the background. They just got back from the trampoline place. I don't have the heart to tell them to be quiet. I love hearing them giggle together. It's background noise. You'll live. Okay, so I've got two palettes here. One of them you've seen before, Tartlet in Bloom. I have tried to pan this palette in the past and obviously made very good progress on it. You can see I've hit pan in pretty much every shade. Now for the purposes of this project, I want to finish up these two rows here, and I want to hit pan in this shade over here and continue to grow the pan here. Finishing these four is not a priority for me, and in fact even hitting pan on these two is not really a priority. They are quite hard panned at this point. I have gone and scratched them up with a spoolie. They're just not my favorite shadows to work with. They're both more of like a satin kind of finish, not a true metallic finish, which is something that I prefer. I do think that they look very pretty, but over the course of the day I do see a lot of fading with those two shades in particular. So that could simply be because this palette itself is so old, like 6 years, something like that I've had this. It's been a very long time. So realistically, I want to finish these two rows, grow the pan in here, and hit pan on this shade. And then the other palette that I have, it's really just the one shade that I'm looking at, and it's this one here from Huda. This is the Rose Gold Remastered palette, and it's in particular the shade Pink Diamond. This shade right here, it's just so beautiful, and I don't have anything else quite like it in my collection. And so when I recently did my huge eyeshadow palette declutter, I wanted to declutter this palette simply because the mattes are not great. There are some other really beautiful foiled shadows in here, but Pink Diamond just has my heart. I want like a giant single pan of it because it's beautiful. So I kept the palette because I don't want to try to dig that shade out, because the risk of breaking it in the process is just too great, because I have lost many a good soldier in that process before. So I decided I would just keep this shade in this project to work alongside the Tartlet in Bloom. So let's go ahead and apply these to the eyes. I'm going to speed it up because you've seen me do this a million times, but this is sort of like a go-to everyday kind of look for me. So I'm going to start off with this shade right here, which is called Smarty Pants, and I'm going to apply that as a transition shade. I'm going to use the same brush and just go in with this shade here called Rebel and build up the crease, deepen things up a bit. With what's left over on the brush, I'm going to run that under the lower lash line. To deepen up the crease, I'm going to pick up this shade here called Leader and put that on the outer V of my eye. And again, with what's left over, I'm just going to run that under my lower lash line. Next, I'm just going to use a flat shader brush to pick up Pink Diamond and apply that all over the lid. I guess maybe I shouldn't say all over the lid, over like the inner half of the lid. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade Charmer and use that under the brow bone. Using that same brush, I'm going to pick up the shade Funny Girl and use that as an inner corner highlight. The next item in the project is a full spectrum eyeliner pencil from Makeup Geek. This was one of the original ones that she launched years ago, and it's been in my collection ever since. This one in particular is in the shade Espresso. It's just a really nice deep brown. And I actually really like this pencil. I really like the formula of it, but I've gotten away from using pencil liners in the past few years. So I'm busting this one out. I don't think I'm going to use it every day, but again, I've got a full year. If I use this as my only brown pencil liner, then I should be able to finish it up, but time will tell because you just use so very little of it at a time. But for today, I am going to line my lower waterline with it as well as my upper lash line. And what I like to do with pencil liners is use a little smudgy brush like this. This one is from Shop Miss A. It's the E118 and it's just a little foam tip. But I find that it just softens up that line nicely without disturbing the rest of the eyeshadow that's on there. The last makeup item that I'm going to be including in the project is a lip pencil from Gerard Cosmetics. This one's in the shade Sugar and Spice, and it just happens to be my favorite of their lip pencils. And in fact, Gerard Cosmetics makes my favorite lip pencils. They're just so very smooth and creamy, easy to apply, not dry on the lips at all. And this shade in particular is just perfection, especially when going in with a nude lipstick. Really need to stop talking as I'm applying this. So I've just topped it with a gloss from Lisa Eldridge in the shade Affair, and it's just such an easy makeup look. I feel very polished and put together, and this is the kind of look that I wear all the time to the office. So I think having these items in the project makes it that much easier because I can get a ton of use out of all of them in combination with each other. So I'm just trying to set myself up for success. But I will show you where we are for the two pencils that are in the project. So I just got them marked down here. This is the Gerard Cosmetics pencil, and then this one is the eyeliner from Makeup Geek. And then the very last item is a perfume. This one is Dahlia Divine from Givenchy. I love this scent. I think it's perfect for winter, so I'm gonna have to revisit it come spring. I might wanna switch it out at that point, but I'd like to see how much progress I can make before then. Right now, you can see the marking here. So like I said, I think this is just a perfect winter fragrance because it's just, I don't want to say that it's heavy, but it's heavy enough that it just plays into the season. Like it's not too florally, it's not too citrusy, it's not too bright of a fragrance. It just has this like sexiness to it. I don't really know how to put my finger on that, but it smells grown up without being too mature. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't smell like your grandma's perfume. It smells grown up, but in a very sophisticated kind of way. Couldn't tell you what the notes are without looking at it, but at any rate, oh, I just love it so much. So this is one that I think I can get daily use out of. I don't carry perfume around with me and like top it up throughout the day, but anytime I'm sitting down here, I'll do a little spritz, things of that sort. But I expect that I will be able to get good use out of this. I don't know if I will finish it within the course of a year, but that's why we do these projects, to test ourselves, see where we can get with items. And this one has been on my shelf for a few years, so I definitely want to make as much progress in it as possible because perfume is very expensive. I got this one using Shoppers Drug Mart points, so I didn't pay out of pocket for it, but it still has like a 90 some odd dollar value, and I would prefer to have that value applied to me than have to throw it out. So that is the last piece of this project. If you are doing a project pan in 2022, please let me know down below. We can support each other, push each other to success, all of that good stuff. Let me know what it is that you're trying to use up. But other than that, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I think I'm going to be doing every 2 months for updates rather than monthly. We'll see. I might get excited in January and then eventually want to scale it back. I'm not entirely sure, but I will be doing updates. I promise. I am committing to a full year of this, so whether it's monthly or bi-monthly, we shall see. If you have a preference, let me know in the comments. But other than that, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next one. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.